EU travel restrictions for Americans. This September, anticipate many modifications throughout the European Union and the opportunity that unvaccinated tourists can be close out. The confusion stems from an assertion on Sunday with the aid of using the European Council, the EU's governing body, that suggested its 27 member states to damn non-essential tour from 5 countries, inclusive of the US, after an upward thrust in COVID-19 cases. These nations, Israel, Kosovo, Lebanon, Montenegro, the Republic of North Macedonia, and the US, have been eliminated from the bloc's secure list of nations which have low caseloads, which authorize their passport holders to go to the EU without extra restrictions, including quarantine and trying out requirements. As of now, the statement is simply a recommendation. Every EU member nation can determine whether or not to observe the guidelines. The assertion recommended that vaccinated vacationers from those regions might be overlooked of the regulations, with one nameless EU diplomat telling The Washington Post that it's far extensively predicted that absolutely vaccinated Americans could nonetheless hold unfettered access. The EU lifted regulations for American vacationers, vaccinated or not, in June, despite the fact that tourism-established international locations such as Greece and Italy had already begun out to just accept American vacationers in April. At the time, the US had better vaccination stages than maximum of Europe and became seeing incredibly low transmission rates. It's doubtful which nations will observe the brand new recommendations. However, a few nations already had necessities that compelled unvaccinated vacationers to quarantine. Even without a quarantine, 88% of tour routes inside the EU have a few types of restrictions, in line with current statistics from Swiss Bank UBS Evidence Lab. Germany placed the US on its listing of high-hazard areas in mid-August, which supposed that unjabbed vacationers needed to go through a 10-day quarantine that may be shortened with a terrible COVID-19 take a look at after 5 days. France calls for vaccination evidence for sports like taking a teach and each indoor and out-of-doors dining. Political worries are making subjects even greater complex in international locations already seeking to hold up with a converting pandemic. European tourists remain barred from the US, a rule that President Trump enacted at the start of the pandemic and lifted earlier than he left office. President Biden then reinstated it and has obtained no scarcity of complaints at the policy. In Europe now, 70% of adults had been completely vaccinated. But all tourists, particularly unvaccinated ones, need to exercising warning earlier than creating a right anywhere. Because the Delta version stays at critical risk, that doubles the threat of hospitalization and traces fitness offerings in regions with low vaccination rates. The CDC issued a caution beforehand of Labor Day saying, in case you are unvaccinated, we'd advise now no longer traveling. It additionally advised jabbed Americans to rethink tours because of surging caseloads throughout the country.